Rolls-Royce makes the world's most luxurious cars, and the richest people in the world dream of owning a Rolls-Royce. But surprisingly, this luxurious Rolls-Royce was started by a boy whose whole childhood was spent doing child labor in poverty. The story begins in 1863. Henry Royce was born in a small village in England. When Royce was only 4 years old, his father's business was ruined, and the whole family came to the streets. But this was just the beginning of the problems. After this, at the age of 9, Royce lost his father forever, due to which his mother had to work as a maid, and Royce started delivering newspapers. Till now, Royce's future was filled with darkness. But at the age of 14, a turning point came in his life. His aunt saw potential in Henry. She went to the Great Northern Railway Company. And there, by paying £20 per annum, Royce was joined as an apprentice. In the next 3 years, Royce worked day and night. By reading dozens of books and working practically in the factory, he learned carpentry, maths, and most importantly, electronics. By the age of 17, he had become a fully capable mechanic. By the age of 21, he was working as an engineer in a company named Maxim Western. But due to financial difficulties, this company was about to close. In such a situation, Royce had the option of taking jobs in many other companies, but he decided to open his own electrical engineering company. He used his savings of £20 and started a small office space in Manchester, F.H. Royce & Company. He also joined his friend Ernest Claremont as a partner. Initially, whatever work Royce got to survive, he did. Like sewing machine repair, electrical fittings, etc. But then Royce saw that along with time, the demand for electrical lightings and fittings was increasing. That's why he started the manufacturing of arc lamps, bulb holders, and electronic doorbells. And this work changed the fate of the company. By the year 1900, the company's sales had crossed £20,000. At the age of 38, there was a family of Royce, and they were planning to build a very big factory. Everything was going well, then a twist comes in the story. In 1901, German and American companies took entry in the British electronics market. The competition suddenly increased, and the prices of electronics equipment fell. Even after full effort, Royce's business started crashing. And seeing the business fail with so much effort, Royce's physical and mental health started deteriorating rapidly. When Royce consulted a doctor, he got a simple advice. To get well, Royce needed to stay in fresh air. Along with that, he was advised to buy a car so that he could travel without straining his body. Royce took a vacation and recovered himself, and then bought a French-made car called Decauville. This car made a lot of noise. The brakes were ineffective and there were problems like overheating. For a perfectionist like Henry, this car was below standard. That's why he decided to make minor modifications to this car. But he eventually redesigned the car completely. This redesigned car was superior to the original Decauville car. And from here, Royce got the confidence that he can build his own cars, and he can even do the business of cars. He assembled a small team and started designing his new car. After all the parts were drawn, he was sent to the workshop for casting. Eventually, Royce's 10 horsepower and 2 cylinders car started taking shape. And in almost every aspect like quietness, lightness, durability, and reliability, this car was better than any existing. On 1st April 1904, it was first road tested, and in its first test, it determined a distance of 50 kilometers without any problem. Royce made 2 more cars of the same model, and they started improving by testing them. Now they had made world-class cars, but they were not capable of delivering these cars to the whole world alone. And in this way, the entry of the second hero of the story, Charles Rolls. Royce was presenting his cars in an exhibition, and during this time, Charles Rolls was seen on Audi cars. Rolls was already looking for a luxury British car maker. That's why he met Royce and saw cars closely. He was so impressed with Royce that later he told his business partner that he has found the greatest engineer in the world. In the next 3 months, Charles Rolls and Henry Royce have an agreement to start a joint venture to sell these cars. And the name of the car to be sold from this joint venture was going to be Rolls. Henry Royce have an agreement to start a joint venture, and the name of the car that will be sold through this joint venture was going to be Rolls-Royce before moving forward. In March 1906, Rolls-Royce Limited was officially established. And first of all, 4 Rolls-Royce models, with 10, 15, 20, and 30 horsepower models were decided to be supplied. Rolls believed that the best way to market any car is to participate in racing tournaments with that car. That's why Rolls participated in prestigious tournaments like the Isle of Man Tourist Trophy and won those races using Rolls-Royce's cars. Along with that, he made many new speed records from these cars. With all this, Rolls-Royce was already established as a great car company. But now, the arrival of their most successful car was still pending. At the end of the year 1906, Rolls-Royce launched a model with 40 and 50 horsepower and 6 cylinders. Its body color was silver. And it was extremely smooth and silent while driving, just like a ghost. And that's why it was named Silver Ghost. To market the car, Rolls planned an endurance test of 24,000 kilometers, in which Silver Ghost was left on Sundays and was driven continuously for 2.5 months, and 24,000 kilometer distance was covered. Silver Ghost passed this test without any issue. Apart from this, Rolls organized many demonstrations in which he passed Silver Ghost with whisper test. In this test, he used to balance a coin on the bonnet of the car, and he used to drive it without dropping it, which proved that this car is extremely smooth. With these strategies, Silver Ghost became popular all around, like the best car in the world, and it became the first choice of the kings, queens, and industry leaders of that time. The decision of Rolls and Royce's partnership proved to be a master stroke. They were getting success from all sides. Then, a terrible incident happened. Along with cars, Charles Rolls was also very passionate about aviation. On 12th of July 1910, he was flying a plane named Wright Flyer. During the flight, the tail section of the aircraft broke, and the plane crashed at a height of 100 feet. In this accident, 32-year-old Charles Rolls lost his life. Unfortunately, he became the first person in Britain to die in an airplane accident. This accident had deeply impacted Royce. He was trying to overcome this loss that in 1911, he got another shock. His health started deteriorating rapidly, and the doctors told him that he has ball cancer. He had a major operation, but even after that, the doctors said that he will only live for 3 months. In this condition, Royce continued to improve the design and engineering of Silver Ghost from the bed, and then a miracle happened. After 3 months, Royce achieved 100% recovery. After coming back, Royce made major improvements in Silver Ghost. Ground clearance was increased, suspension was improved, the chassis was also made strong. Meanwhile, Rolls-Royce saw that there was a trend of putting personalized mascots on the bonnet of cars. But the company was worried that people were putting inappropriate mascots which could negatively impact Rolls-Royce's image. That's why they designed their own mascot. The mascot used a British actress, and the British actress and model named Eleanor Thornton has been used. This sculpture shows a woman leaning forward. His hands are stretched behind him, and the wind is blowing fast above him. This mascot symbolizes a sense of grace, freedom, and speed. Its name is Spirit of Ecstasy. Ecstasy means overwhelming happiness. In all these improvements, Rolls-Royce's sales and profits were growing exponentially. By 1913, their profit was more than $90,000, and there were plans to expand the branches internationally. But again, something happened which almost destroyed Rolls-Royce. World War I started in 1914, but Rolls-Royce was not ready for it. Due to war, economy crashed, which impacted most on luxury car companies like Rolls-Royce. Sales crashed, and company had to fire employees. Everyone thought that Rolls-Royce will not be able to survive the war, but Rolls-Royce had some other plans in his mind. Royce met with the military authorities, after which he realized that in war, reliable and high-performance vehicles are strictly needed. That's why Royce modified the Silver Ghost and changed it into an armored car. The body of the car was equipped with 8 mm thick armor. A revolving turret was also installed in which a machine gun could be fitted. This car was used to conduct operations in the harsh desert regions of the Middle East. Plus, it was also used for spying missions. Also, because the Silver Ghost was very smooth to drive, it was also the best vehicle to carry a wounded soldier. That's why the Silver Ghost was modified like a war ambulance. These stretchers, medical equipments, and sufficient space for nurses were made, and electric lightings were fitted for nighttime missions. These ambulances saved thousands of lives. Finally, due to their luxury features, during the war, Rolls-Royce cars were used by high-ranking officers, diplomatic missions, and king messengers. While working closely with the military, Rolls-Royce realized that the British Air Force was heavily dependent on French companies for their airplane engines, and the government desperately wanted a British company to supply them with engines. Looking at this opportunity, Rolls-Royce took entry in aero engine manufacturing. Rolls-Royce learned the design of aero engines and launched its first engine in 1915, the Eagle. This engine was more reliable, light and fuel-efficient than the competition. That's why the British Air Force ordered 500 Eagle engines by the end of the year. But Royce didn't stop there. In 1915, he made a Hawk engine for light aircrafts. In 1916, he made the Falcon engine was made. And in 1918, for large and long-range aircrafts, Condor engine was made. Because of these engines, Britain got a major advantage in aerial combat, spying missions, anti-submarine operations, and bombing missions. And this became an important reason for their victory. Rolls-Royce's entry in aero engine manufacturing be a brilliant step in entering the aero engine manufacturing. And even today, Rolls-Royce engines are used in thousands of commercial and military aircrafts. In 1918, World War I ended, and for the next 15 years, Royce focused on cars and aero engines. They launched a smaller and cheaper car, named 20. Unfortunately, 20's sales were not very impressive. Until 1925, in the luxury car market, the competition was very high due to brands like Bentley, Delmer, and Cadillac. And Rolls-Royce needed a bold car to maintain its position. That's why they replaced the Silver Ghost and launched the new Phantom with better performance and four-wheel brakes. Phantom became very successful, and it again made Rolls-Royce the king of luxury car market later on. Phantom 2 was also launched, which was equally well received. In 1931, Rolls-Royce acquired Bentley, which was about to go bankrupt. And after this, Rolls-Royce designed one more iconic car, Bentley 3.5 liters, which was a successful blend of Rolls-Royce and Bentley, these two great brands. But unfortunately, Royce could never see this car with his own eyes. 22nd April 1933, 70-year-old Sir Henry Royce took his last breath, a few months before the production of the car. From Sir Henry Royce's death till today, Rolls-Royce has seen many ups and downs. On one hand, Phantom 3, Silver Shadow and Ghost-like iconic cars were launched. On the other hand, financial difficulties were faced in the 1960s, because of which their aviation and automobile business was divided. And currently, Rolls-Royce owns BMW Motors. But even today, Rolls-Royce is the greatest symbol of ultimate luxury due to its iconic cars. Owning a Rolls-Royce is like owning a masterpiece that symbolizes the perfection and charisma of Rolls.